Hello, everybody, and welcome to a rather different version of the ABCOM podcast. This episode is a lot more scripted, and instead of featuring a straight-up debate, I'd like to openly discuss with you a topic that is probably on a few people's minds. Now that TIBA has ended, what do we do now? For those who don't usually listen in, TIBA is the Tenkaichi Iron Man Budokai Abridge-a-thon, an abridging competition hosted by TeamFourStar. I've talked to a fair few abridgers, many within the top 30 of the competition, and it all seems like they are going to continue to abridge. A lot of the entries into the TIBA competition were first episodes to a series, and I have been able to confirm many are looking to continue them. You've got newfound recognition for your talent as an abridger. You can now put one of those award marks on your thumbnails. And even if you didn't get featured on the TeamFourStar website, you may have found a community you love and a project you are now invested in. There's life back in the community, so why wouldn't you? But if you think about it, why would you continue? Abridging can be illegal. As such, they are in a precarious position, constantly being taken down. In a way, they can be creatively limiting, only having so much to work with on a story and visual side. You won't be making money from them, in most cases. And in terms of audience, well, Max, or Soulbro number 3, made a very good point here.
You know, when I speak on blanket terms on what's going to help someone trying to break in entertainment, you have to go off of advice for the average person, not the really talented person. You think about the platform going to original content. Yes, those build skills that can go to original content, but the thing is that all those people that are there for haha anime, they don't want your original content. They don't care. It's all fan-based pandering. There is a very, very select few of people who might, take it a different way. But the thing is, I know from experience, and I know, of my own stuff and looking at other things, the only platform abridging builds for you is a platform for more abridging. That's all it is. I made something called Taste Closed. It got, thousands and thousands of hits on, and it was based on Detective Conan.
Yeah, that was good shit.
Thank you. But, the thing is that I look through tweets, I'll occasionally look at feedback for Taste Closed, and I'll see these people with, the Conan Edogawa icons, all this stuff. They're like, oh, I watch Taste Closed every day. Oh my God, this is my life. These people are not following me. These people are not looking at the rest of my content, which is actually original. They do not give a shit. And that's the very harsh reality people need to learn.
So, why would you continue to abridge? I mean, we all started for a reason, but what was that reason?
Yeah, how I got into abridging, that's a good question. It's one of those things where I was already doing stuff involving my voice and video editing related things. I was doing animation and things like that, and comedy writing in general. So it seemed like a natural fit for me, the idea of making something where I didn't have to actually create the footage.
It was around 2010, I believe, that I was an editor, and then 2 years later I got into the abridging stuff because I was interested in the voice acting and the more transformative writing you get off of it than just editing audio and visuals that, you really had nothing to do with.
Well, I started the Abridging because, I guess it was originally because I wanted to get into voice acting, and I saw it as kind of a method or a middle ground to kind of have a reason to voice, you know what I mean? Like, I was a talentless piece of shit, so I didn't want to draw things myself, and I didn't want to animate and all that bullshit, so I was just like, all right, I can use iMovie to make Rukia look like she's farting. That's pretty cool. I like that so far. I can make Ichigo say I'm a faggot. And then I was just like, all right, this is my career. This is the next 30 plus years of my life.
I don't know if it's any reason in particular. I was always a fan of the, bridges like TeamFourStar and LittleKuriboh. But back then, it was more of just hey, this seems like a really fun thing to do. There's no real particular reason I chose Evangelion. It just happened to be potluck that a lot of jokes managed to just come into my head about Evangelion. It was just to the point where I had enough jokes in my head that I thought that I could make a script out of it. And then I think one of the things that pushed me to start scripting was I saw that LittleKuriboh had made a one-shot of Evangelion ages ago, and then I was like, I saw him upload it, and I was like, oh shit, LittleKuriboh's made an Evangelion one-shot. I really hope none of the jokes that I use are going to be in there. If they are, I'm going to be so disappointed. And then I watched it, and luckily it was nothing like what I was planning to make. So seeing that, I was like, okay, before someone else makes my parody, I'm just going to go ahead and make it.
Like, the footage is already there, the characters are already there. I just had to make fun of them, essentially, just voice over them and make something out of that. So it was kind of, yeah, you're going in there with a prepared package. So that's why I decided, and obviously everyone had saw like LittleKuriboh's Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, and you look at it and you think, you know what, maybe I can do that.
I've been a fan of Abridged series for a long time until I found Something Witty Entertainment. Found out they were from Winnipeg, I'm from Calgary. We're both living on the prairies of Canada. I figured, hey, if they can do it and make something this funny, I'll take a stab at it. So in March of this year, 2016, I made my first Abridged episode, and it was garbage.
Now, throughout the Abridging community, there has been established that there is some sort of divide. Those who do it for fun, and those who do it for views. One side has been stereotypically portrayed as toxic, and as much as wanting to become famous from Abridging at this point could be described as a fool's dream, it is still valid. To put it one way, in my opinion, after listening to many people, I don't think that doing it for fun and doing it for views are entirely separate. If anything, I would suggest they are on a spectrum.
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX The Abridged series, that was literally my first attempt, and the reason I did it was because I wanted to get in on a fad that everybody else was getting involved in. And I would have been, 15, 16 at the time. I thought, yeah, I could do this. And then it's the greatest reality check once you do your... I implore everybody to do a first episode of something Abridged, because it's such a kick in the nuts when you realize just how not funny you are once you get it done.
Oh, because it's just too much fun. I just, like, every time I make something, like, I'm waiting for the, what did I just watch comment, and I feed off of that, and that gives me sustenance.
I think the real impetus was, I remember listening to the interview that Chicken Wings did with LittleKuriboh. I remember when he was talking about how his passion for Yu-Gi-Oh! Fueled his desire to keep making the show, and I thought to myself, I'm a huge Doctor Who nerd, and there are not many live-action Abridged series out there. Maybe I should have a stab at this Abridging malarkey, see how it pans out for me.
Oh, man, Abridging, if anything, Abridging has lost me subscribers. It's something I do every once in a while because it is one of the few things on my channel that are 100% just for me, because no one watches them.
What was fun was when you make something and being able to see it and seeing people's expressions and how they feel, making them laugh, and if you don't make them laugh, making them think. It was those type of things I liked. Editing is fun, but it's not fun. It's in that weird medium.
I don't think it comes down to Abridging itself. It has more to do with my friends that I work on it with. It's the fact that I enjoy being around them so much, and we bounce off each other so well that, like, when we're writing a script or if we're doing Let's Plays on our Let's Play channel, we just have such a good camaraderie that I enjoy being around them, and Abridging just tends to be one of the ways that we work together.
When I started, as to where I am now, a lot's changed, and the more I've done it, the more I've realized how much more you can get out of it. It doesn't just have to be setups and jokes. It can be like actual kind of feelings and things, and I think that's cool. And I think a lot of people get really butthurt about it. A lot of people really assholey and entitled because they feel like, hey, I'm a content creator. I have 10,000 fucking subscribers from a thing that's not even mine. A lot of cool people, a lot of bad people, and overall the scene, I think it's constipated right now. I think a lot of the people that are producing things are trying to produce them for the same reasons, or that because Abridging has recently become more popular, a lot of people are just, again, trying to catch that big wave. So right now, I think there's some kind of internal kind of digestion kind of thing going on, and I think maybe with the help of some more original, I guess, Abridgers, I think that can help in a lot of ways.
What kept me going was just seeing those lovely comments on my videos saying, nice job. That really made me lols. Really nice to actually hear from people that I was funny, because I never really enjoyed that kind of perk throughout my adolescence. Yeah, I get it with many Abridgers, even if a lot of them don't want to admit that.
I find that Abridging is a celebration of the source material, poking fun at it because you like it. Now, there are obvious exceptions that have been observed in the community in the past, where people have been mean to one another for a difference of opinion or certain actions that they've done. And as much as you may justify it in your actions, one thing to remember is that we are still going to be here. Even if you stop abridging as a whole, you may and still can collaborate with these people. We better our work and the community if we work together. Which is fairly evident from the fact that one of the top 3 entries in TIBA had one of the biggest teams in the competition that at least I've seen. Congratulations to the Smug Squad, by the way. I would summarize it as this. We can call each other out, but it's the moment that we start insulting people rather than challenging their actions is when we create hate for one another. Be able to take and give criticism, and just don't be an asshole. Now, the main reason I've come across for people to continue to abridge is because it's fun. Something Eagle Eggburger said was rather interesting during the ABCOM podcast.
People who just make these things for fun and maybe haven't made content at all, it's a good motivator to just get out, write something, and put something together. Like, granted, there are so many other ways to be creative. Like, you can do radio plays and try your voice acting out that way. You can get a bunch of friends together, try to shoot a film. One of the nice things, though, that I've always found about abridging is that because you have the content supplied, it's really easy to backload that on an editor if you're a passionate editor and feel you can dedicate that amount of time to a project.
And that is echoed throughout the community. Not everybody has the ability to go out and create the things that they dream of making, so they use the stuff that's in front of them.
Back in high school, I was watching TFS like everybody else, and Faulerro especially, I watched a lot of his stuff, and I think I take a lot of my inspiration from him. And I was like, I wonder if I could do this stuff. Maybe I'll try it. And I talked to all my friends about it, and they said, fuck you, we're not helping you with that. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll do it myself. And over the course of, I think, about 2 months, I produced my first episode, which was complete trash, and you should not watch it now, it's really bad.
Going back again, I would have been 15, 16, you know, I had absolutely no knowledgeable intake of how you're meant to present a product to a certain demographic. We were literally just spewing shit and putting it on paper and putting it out there, and people were like, hey, this is kind of funny. And that was it. That was all the motivation we needed.
A lot of people will overinflate how they choose to see it. I know a lot of people will do something abridged related and be like, yo, I'm awesome. And I don't know, I don't look at it like this big fucking balloon that's being blown up. I just kind of see it as just another method of expression, I guess. I mean, there's parodyism in a lot of different ways, and abridging just so happens to be easily accessible because, you know, lip flaps, they're not much going on there, so I guess it's easier to manage, I guess.
When you get to the dirt and bones of it, it's a comedy project based on an already existing show that you are taking out of context and you are just putting your own narrative in. It's it's not a difficult sort of thing to achieve. Anybody can really do that. It's the reaction more than anything that is the most overwhelming.
If you don't have the resources, skills, or experience required to create a story, this can help develop those skills. When you don't have what you need, you use what's in front of you. And if that happens to be a copy of High School of the Dead, why not? However, abridging doesn't need to be your be-all end-all. Over my time in the abridging community, one big factor that people praise abridging for, that people say falls in its favor, is that it helps you develop skills. And that is true. If you do something for long enough, practice makes perfect.
Bacano Abridged is basically a measurement of how good I am at voice work and editing, because oh boy are the first episodes so unwatchably bad, but I still have them up so I can watch them and go like, oh, I've gotten a lot better. It's just practice for mostly for voice acting, also for editing a little, but mostly for voice work.
So keep going then, right? What reason is there to stop? Now this is where I'm going to pitch something to you. We grow out of abridging. The only people who I've seen who are over 25 years old who are still abridging are those who have a substantial following who expect this content, or those who are gripping onto it for the fun that they've had. It's not a coincidence that a lot of online voice actors and actresses, or people involved in the abridged community in general, are around the younger ages. People who are still in education or are trying to find their footing in what they want to be. This stuff is easier to do when you have time for it. Abridging could be described as a place to experiment, a place for you to have fun and meet new people. But unless there's something keeping you there, real life eventually takes over.
Abridging in general, like, it's an extreme, like, it's a fun process, but when I was working on it before, I was working with a computer that, like, had, like, 3 gigs of RAM, and it was a slow crawl of a process, especially later on as I was doing these bigger and more ambitious projects, and it becomes extremely stressful after a while, and that's one of the reasons I was like, okay, I need to not do this for now. And when I did Higurashi, that was a 23-minute plus episode, like one-shot video, and it just drained me so much that I was almost like, nah. I want to try something else for now.
Pretty much all of my content is scripted in one way or shape or form. The reason I keep doing it is because I don't like to pigeonhole myself. I don't like to just be known as the guy who can only do this one thing. I like doing a lot of things, and abridging is one of the things that I really enjoy doing. I don't want to be just an abridger. I still love reviewing and talking about anime, but I also like the whole parody aspect. But I don't stop abridging, or I don't stop parodying because I enjoy it at the end of the day. I don't want to only do it, but I still enjoy it, as I do with all my content.
It just applied to me. Like, I am spending hours upon hours editing video to put it out there, and I don't get a penny for this, you know. I had no financial gain from doing Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Abridged stuff, and that's fine. But I'm getting to the age now where I'm moving out, I'm living on my own, I need to be able to put my time and focus into something that can give me a sustainable living. And that is exactly what it is I've set out to pursue, and unfortunately, because of that, I needed to drop something that was ultimately taking up the vast majority of my time that I was focusing into making products.
It's still fun. It's still a lot of fun. But yeah, I suppose I think because I do feel slightly responsible to keep the show going. I mean, if I wanted to stop, I would stop. But I feel at the same time, I always said to myself, if I did decide to stop, I would end it. I wouldn't just straight up quit, because I feel like we've got so many fans who have supported the show and supported me as a performer for so many years. I never felt right just turning around and saying, you know what, I'm done now. I'm not gonna do that anymore. So,
well, as we've established, someone like me who longs for attention, and to be honest, I never felt like I was getting enough. And I know it's hard to hear, but yeah, it's true. And well, I just thought, for really the sake of my own sanity, I had to stop before I became some sort of really embittered, well, even more embittered old creature.
There are many things that you can do that aren't abridging related. There may be a different process to editing in the film world than there is to abridging, but now you have a basic understanding. If you have voice actors, a writer, and an editor, you can make an audio play. You can delve into other mediums like video games, creating short films, writing stories. I myself have called upon voice actors within the abridging community to help with projects outside of abridging. And you can do that too. Don't think abridging is the only option for making people laugh or expressing yourself. There are other mediums too. You just need to take a while to dive on in. But staying with the community isn't a bad thing either. Abridging brings people together, making positive changes in their lives. However, there is still a lot of misinformation out there that confuses people into thinking that in some cases it's legal where it's not, where you are dead set in one way of doing things when there may be an easier way that produces better quality content. So, let's ask this question again. Now that TIBA is over, what do you do now? You do what you want to. Be that working on abridged projects or not. The best thing we can do is work together.
So I don't think abridging, unless hard copyright laws happened, would it outright die. Because abridging, if you do it for the fun of it, it can be very fun. And it can be a fun thing to do with your friends, or just to pass the time, or just something to work on for the sake of having something to work on. And there's always going to be people who are going to come in and discover that for themselves.
I think anything that gave people like me it kicked a lot of people in the pants where they needed it and got them to create stuff again. And anything that's getting people to create something is, in my eyes, a good thing. Especially with, because of TIBA, I'm where I'm talking to you right now because I was in TIBA. Like, otherwise, I'd probably just be sitting in my home doing nothing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my friends and all, but having more friends is never a bad thing.
So it's done a lot. I mean, aside from just that, I've met a lot of good people, obviously. I've met people who I thought would only be interested in me because, hey, you want to voice on my thing because you have subscribers or whatever. But no, I've met, honestly, a lot of really close friends. A lot closer than I thought I'd meet. People that you would talk to on Skype. Not even just about abridging. Just hey, yo, what's up? Yo, not much, man. You know what I mean? And that's awesome. You meet a lot of cool people.
And I don't think there's anything wrong in leaving an abridged project to sort of build your own repertoire of ability from stuff that you've learned from doing abridged stuff. I mean, I learned how to do sound design to some tangible degree in audio engineering, and then vocal placement, direction, scripting. I learned all this stuff from doing abridged projects for the past, I think we ran for about 9 years before I left. It is a big risk when you sort of dive away from parody because there is no guarantee with it. It's a completely new field. But absolutely your main motivation should be just to try. With comedy, the intention is to make people laugh, whether it's your humor or somebody else's humor, and I think that's the greatest number one that you can go for when you're striving to make these products.
Even when I edit new episodes now, I still learn new tricks. I still learn new ways to edit that I didn't know before that saved me a bunch of time.
I used to always think up things, but I never wrote it down. And so with abridging, it was the planning and writing down. And I've become so much of a better storyteller, I guess you can say, that I've actually been applying it recently. I'm trying to write stories and all that. So abridging has opened that doors of me believing that my writing skills could push even forward and, go to different boundaries than just parodies.
I've learned to be more social with people. I've learned to be more myself with people because, for the most part, everyone I've met in the abridged community, are pretty cool people and they're pretty lax people. They don't really judge. Everyone's pretty cool. So I've been able to be myself around them, and it makes me feel healthy and happy.
For specifically abridging, I'm going to continue that. It's something I love doing. I know it's not a career, as I've stated many times before, but I get a lot of fun out of it. I've met great people through it. I'm going to continue. Other things I want to do, I've been fleshing out the sort of guidelines of a visual novel I've been working on for quite some time, and I want to pursue that, put that out, publish it, and it's going to be an actual original work. I want to be a writer in some capacity. I don't care if it's as a novelist, a comic book writer, a screenplay writer, anything. And hopefully this visual novel I'm putting together can be a stepping stone as well.
I felt like I needed to be away from it for a little bit. I felt bad about it because I knew people really wanted more. They wanted me to finish Danganronpa. I wanted to finish Danganronpa. At one point I was resolved to, but it just got so exhausting emotionally and physically for me.
There's people who cover songs, you know what I mean? They'll take a popular song or a song they like and they'll cover it, but every time they do so, they do it in usually a different way. And that, I think, kind of brings about a different aspect of something. And I think with any form of creation, you can reinterpret it in a way, I suppose, and maybe expose how you felt about it. Everyone will watch the same thing and everyone will have different opinions of the thing because they are different people. But if you expose how you feel about it, maybe someone will watch it and go, I didn't think of it that way. That's interesting. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of more or less what I mean by that. Exposing different sides in a way.
And I think it's sort of it is a gray area when you say that sort of thing. I mean, I can't stop you from doing what you love. If you want to go for it, absolutely go for it. But if you're asking me, what should I do when I want to do abridging, I can't give you the answer to that. Ultimately, I would say put your attention into something creative and original. Don't use something that already pre-exists, because if by happenstance you make a fantastic script and a fantastic product, and you're confident with it and you want to commercialize on it and start making a living on it, you can't do that really with abridged stuff. And you are sort of following something that's already done before. I mean, it's sort of, in a way, it's commentary over the visuals is sort of what you're doing. Most of the abridging stuff, you're bringing attention to what's happening on screen. It's sort of narration in itself to an effect. But I would say that you should indulge your time in something original, creative, and something yours.
Despite everything, What Abridging does is allow you to meet new people, and you can collaborate with those people, have fun, and make something that may surprise you both. TIBA did give us a kick in the ass. It gave us the spark we needed, and now it's up to us to keep that flame burning. But don't feel obligated to, because it's a big old world out there, and there's much more cheesier, motivational speeches than the one I'm giving now. But what you do now is up to you. Hey everybody, I hope this helped in its own weird little way. I wanted to show that Abridging isn't just the be-all end-all, and that you can have your own justification for what you do. And of course, you may have different reasons for Abridging than I may have, so if you do, please say, I want to know why you do it. This was a bit serious for the common lighthearted atmosphere in the community, but I thought it should be made. Even if TIBA, the competition, could have been run better, we should thank TeamFourStar and everyone who was involved, the staff and everyone who entered. If TIBA didn't happen, ABCOM wouldn't be here. You all contributed to a bigger community that had lost its way. Hopefully, from now on, we can continue to improve and have fun making some arguably stupid parodies. Thanks, guys. I hope you're well, and I hope to see you next time.